you know, I would... Oh, 2 curbs linked it. Just, yeah, you can't troll in the new Discord. Well, I don't know why I call it the new Discord. It is the newest Discord to be created. Just, I want to make it, like, no trolling. So you can't, like, just mess with people until they hate themselves. Because that's not very positive.
Well, alrighty, dude. So let's get into the cast, man.
Okay, so
Bottom
Doc
right-hand
is not
corner.
muted. Yeah, bottom right, we got Valar. Special thanks to him
Spawning as a brown zerg.
Yeah.
And then bottom left-hand corner, we do have SunFried.
Yeah,
I'm not sure who SunFried is.
SunFried is on our B team.
Oh.
So he's on Team Supply Block's B team. Doesn't talk that much, but I think I definitely did send him an invite to the Discord. The Ultralisk Tavern.
All right, so we already have a pool coming out of Valar, so that's going to give us the overpool build. Pretty standard build here, very safe. This is my personal favorite build as far as EVP goes. I really think it deals with everything that Protoss does pretty efficiently. You're not really behind when you're going versus a Forge Fast man, but you don't die too easily either to gate first. Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of an issue, but
on this map, it's an issue if, well, it's an issue if they spawn bottom left or top right, because those positions you can wall off and block with one zealot.
SunFried doing a pretty decent job here of delaying this hatchery a little bit. It's not a killer blow or anything to have your hatchery delayed.
Didn't even really get delayed.
Oh yeah, I see that. He actually, so Valar sent his few drones down a little early
now
to make sure that he could get that down.
Voluntarily delaying it.
Yeah, he droned a little bit. Oh no, he decided to go for Lings first. I think this is a big mistake here. He definitely had the opportunity to get it down first. Going for Lings first, he's going to see if there's going to be a cannon up by the time the Lings get there. And the gateway should come up as well. And so this is going to be a pretty nice economic opener for Valar. He's going to be in a decent position here. Especially with a drone also now stuck in the main base.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I want to say, like, normally when you drone scout, you wanna whip it back so you can save that drone, but now it's kind of, the best thing to do with it would be to save it for later and scout with it. The second best thing to do with it would be to build a hatchery at the top left, where I think it's, but I do think that once the creep starts going, it'll be in vision of the gas, if I'm correct. I want to reveal the whole map here. Yeah, I think the creep will barely be out of vision. I don't know, I'd have to test it. But that's a pretty big investment to make, so you gotta make sure that does not.
I think it's cheeky.
You gotta make sure it does not get seen. If that gets seen, then
yeah,
they're gonna
pretty easily responded to.
Unless, of course, you're tasteless. I'm sorry, tasteless. I think who proxy hatched him? I think it was In Control. I think In Control did the proxy hatch, but I can't remember.
I used to do it a lot in StarCraft 2, actually. It was a lot stronger because you could use queens to both do damage and then
Mm-hmm.
also increase the larva production.
Okay, so here, Valar is not going.
Fire,
He's not
yeah.
gonna go lair. He's going.
Or, I mean,
He's
layer,
getting
yeah.
Zergling speed first. So I think he's gonna attempt to bust this wall, but that's not gonna work.
Yeah, we have 2 cannons up already, and it's a nice tight wall as well.
Yeah, like I said, in this position, you can block it with one zealot in the middle. So he's got 2
I would be
zealots in the middle.
okay. I'd be okay with him going speed first if he took off gas and then threw down, another 2 hatcheries here, so he's on 5 hatch. Gets a evolution chamber to protect his overlords from the Corsairs, and gets his +1 carapace, and then goes Hydralisk. But as it stands right now, I really don't think that this Zergling bus is going to work here. And there's going to be a pretty quick and easy win for SunFried, I think. Oh, but the Zealot's not positioned correctly. A good number of Zerglings get through.
How did that happen?
Take off this cannon. I don't know. Apparently, just what the Zealot was a little not chubby enough, man. Needs to put on a little bit more weight here. Even still, though, this is
he needs to throw
very,
his
very
deep fryer away so he can get fat. Deep fryers, as you know, are the #1 source of slimness and fitness.
Oof.
Oh, he lost his overlord.
Yeah. This is going to put Valar really, really far behind.
That was way more successful than I thought it was going to be. Actually, if he noticed, the Zerglings running through, he should have just ran all of them through.
Yeah.
And then that... Oh my god, just like... I was like, there's no way this... Oh my god, he's... So...
Lings keep getting through. 3 Zerglings with speed in the main base is going to be pretty annoying to deal with. This could do a ton of damage. In the meantime, SunFried sending Zealots across the map versus Speedlings also. I don't think this is a great decision.
Yeah, usually you just defend here. But,
yeah.
I don't know. I guess he wants to see if there's Hydras, maybe? I want to give him the benefit of the doubt on this. But, yeah, generally you don't. Because the Zerglings are gonna just kill it. So also with the Hydra follow-up, if you go Mastlings, you have to figure that the Protoss is going to be building extra cannons at the front. So if you go with Hydra follow-up, you're going to be facing extra cannons already on top of, So there's something to think about. So, but, so if your Lings start doing damage, you can always, if your Lings do damage, it's almost better to go Mutalisk because the cannons at the front aren't going to be able to circumvent the mobility that the Mutalisk will have, and maybe you can hit the main with it, but that is if you do damage.
Yeah. And
because
this is pretty.
Yeah.
This is a pretty bad situation on even the drone side right now. Like, even if Valar decided to go muted, he doesn't really have the mineral economy to deal with it. He's got 5 drones on his main gas now. So it's really just this main drone line with 8 drones on it, and then there's 2 at the natural. So it's 10 drones mining minerals right now. I don't think you can't even really go mute it with that.
Why is
such
the
a
pool
low.
doing? Is it the pool doing this?
No, it's the drones that are stacked outside the front here that are forcing the random drones to go around because there's no place for them to exit. So it ends up being, it makes it really weird, and the drones end up exiting from the top and then having to wrap around.
Pool does, because there was a bug on the old Longinus where if you put the pool there, it would mess up the drone pathing. It's fixed on the new Longinus, I believe. But yeah, in the old Longinus, it was weird. Couldn't put the pool next to the gas.
Yeah, we just messed stuff up. That's brood war
And
for
I
you.
was like,
All kinds of weird,
I'm
derpy
pretty
stuff.
sure. I was like, I'm pretty sure. Unless they hosted like a different version of the map. That's the only way that could happen.
This is a pretty grim right now. I would really like to see Valar.
I'd really like to see Valar type GG here.
Well, I was gonna say maybe just go layer or something. He doesn't need gas. He has so much gas. He'll never be able to spend it. He needs to take drones off of gas, put them on minerals.
You make a lot of Scourge. I mean, like, before, maybe he could have transitioned out of it. So if you're talking about, like, earlier yet, here's a Dark Templar. It's gonna, I think, go after the Lings first. Yeah, because you don't get the alerts if your units get one-shotted. It's not gonna say our forces are under attack until something gets hit with 2 shots. I don't know why that is. Thanks, developers.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting. I mean, I feel like both players are pretty behind where they want to be at this point in the game here. A large number of gateways are coming up for SunFried, so he's going to be able to power up pretty hard on the macro and just roll over Valak here eventually. But I would really like to see him be more aggressive right now in this position. I think he should know, like just by his Dark Templar being out here on the map, that there's pretty much nothing on the map that could threaten his army right now. And I would just like to see him move out, honestly. There's no point to continue to harass and save up units when you know that your opponent has no economy.
He could just be waiting for, I don't know.
He's got Templar tech with storms.
I was gonna say, yeah, maybe he's waiting for, but he's got the Templar now. Normally you want to be on, if you're not producing from the gate at your front, you want at least 6 gates in your main. If you're, at least, if you're planning to expand, if you just want to stay on 2 base the whole entire game, just go 8 gateways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
On 2 bases, that is.
8 is so difficult to deal with too as a Zerg player, because you feel like you've been on these 3 bases for super long when you're playing against it, and you're very tempted to go and try to expand or do something. But you really can't get too greedy versus it because you just get rolled.
Yeah, you almost have to, you almost kind of, I'm surprised more people don't do it because you're kind of just forced to defend. So we'll be heading on to
very
game number 3.
What did you just call me?
I said you Peruvian.
Wow.
But that's factual because you are. I gotta update the score. So yeah, so it's 2 for Scientology vessel actually. So far. Alright, did that. Not including this series. So once this series finishes, it'll actually change the score again. So we got game 2 on Aztec. And generally, this map tends to be a little bit more Zergy favored. Has some nice quirks to it though, that make it, like those cliffs, you got these ledges. They're not actually cliff. A cliff is like a natural geological formation. They're ledges because they're made out of Templar.
Is that the distinction though?
Yes.
Because I mean, like, don't you call a ledge? I thought the ledge was more the top part of a cliff.
Well, ledge
right?
is just
Like, call...
ledge is just an edge with an L.
Oh, okay. So
I guess a cliff can't, like, there's a ledge of a cliff, but it's a ledge of a structure that's like a temple. You can put, there's a little spot. I'll actually show it where you can put tanks up here. You can put lurkers up here. You can put High Templar up here. And so if you do a High Templar drop, they might not be able to actually get to the High Templar with their units.
That's interesting. I did not know about that.
Well, now you know. It does make drops on this map a little bit,
Imba.
yeah, it makes them a little bit
Protoss,
easier
Imba.
to do, yeah. Yeah, but sometimes you do drops in ZVT, so if you play this
That is
map,
true.
this is currently in the map pool, I think.
Aztec?
Wait,
Oh, did he just get added?
Wait, is this on
I don't believe so. I've never played on Aztec other than CPL games.
Oh, okay. I can't remember if it's just in CPL or... But yeah, it might not actually be on the ladder now that I think about it. Oh well. So with this, I'm gonna say, normally if he puts the gateway on the bottom, we'll see where he puts it before I start being overly critical, but, oh, he just might put the cannon there. Yeah, he's just gonna get the cannon. Okay, build a cannon.
So still
I want to be right.
Out of Valar. I'm wondering if he's going to try to go for a third hatch or what he's got going on
Nah,
here.
he's going pool.
Okay, just putting it down a little bit, like getting the 2 extra drones in that you can get. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. I've seen like Avalove do it. It opens you up to cannon rushes though.
Yeah, it does. Even going 12 hatch 11 pool is rushable.
Yeah, risky.
Even if you go 9 hatch 9 pool, that is cannon rushable.
I didn't actually know that. That sounds scary.
So yeah, that will actually, yeah, they'll die to cannon rush. And you'll be way behind, too. Oh, so it's gonna expand to the gas base, which... And this is one of the reasons I kind of like this map as far as the diversity of strategies goes, because if you take the lower ground, it's a little bit harder to defend because it's very wide open. There's not a lot of choke to, you know, funnel your enemies into. But on the other side, well, actually, the mineral base is kind of open too, but there's a high ground outside of it, and there's a small ramp at your natural, so it's not like the low ground third base where it's a little bit harder to defend.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily dislike the low ground if you're gonna play more aggressive though.
I don't dislike it at all. I think it's a good base to take. It's actually pretty close too, so it's not like your reinforcements are gonna take a long time to get there. The main thing that I would say is, like, if they're being aggressive with zealots, they could do a gate first opening, and they put a couple of zealots onto the ramp. Then your reinforcements either gotta go through the zealots or they have to go all the way around. And so that can be kind of obnoxious.
I'm a lot happier with how Valar's playing this game right now. He's droning, for one. and doing a better job at getting his idle drones to the mineral lines a lot more quickly. And so we're at a much closer supply right now in this game than we saw last time. And I think there's a much better chance at playing this out a little bit better. I think that the Zergling bust was kind of ill-advised, generally speaking. That's very difficult to do if they've got the second cannon up and everything like that. And especially if you don't go for speed right away, it's difficult to get in there once Protoss has had a little bit of time. But it looks like we're going probably for that 5-patch. Whoa, what? We're probably going to that 5-hatch Hydra eventually here. We got Spire about halfway done here.
Yeah.
So it's going to be done in time for the timing for the Corsair, more or less. But everything seems to be going much better for Valar. I'm not sure what was up with that first game. It seemed, and I'm not trying to be super critical or anything like that, but it was pretty poorly played, I would have to say. But Valar definitely showing that he can play standard builds.
There's some merit to going speedling because first of all, SunFried didn't even scout that, so he didn't even know that it was coming until it actually hit his base. So, let's say he had been in a different position. Then I would say, yeah, just go speedling, because if he's on the B team, he might not have the reaction time to be able to deal with it. And so there's some merit to trying it. It's always good to try stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely found a lot of success with more aggressive strategies in this league so far. And I think it's definitely true, especially at lower levels. Aggressive strategies can be really difficult for newer players to deal with. So I guess you're right. There definitely is a lot of merit to trying to be aggressive. To not necessarily cheesy, but I think aggressive is probably the right word for that.
Well, well, when it comes to cheese, you could say it's true. Nice pick off there from the Scourge. When it comes to cheese, I know that word has kind of negative connotations in the RTS realm, but really it's just to describe
like a very all-in strategy, like a no backup plan.
Not even that. Just something that takes extreme advantage of sort of the metagame that players tend to go to. And when people play standard, usually they play standard builds are standard for a reason. It's because they deal with a lot of different variations of what your opponent can do very well.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, you don't understand what
the builds,
like how to deviate when you see something that's unorthodox. Because if you see something unorthodox, you sometimes have to deviate from it, or from what you would normally do. I guess SunFried is looking for a third up here.
There's kind of a cute little defense here. I like the way that Valar has this set up. It's kind of annoying because you have all this rocky terrain that you can't really build on. So, I mean, there's not really much room for Sunken's behind the hatcheries. I think that you could fit one in between maybe the gas and the minerals here, like those paths the drones are taking, to maybe give it a little more protection. But overall, looking pretty good here. This is a nice move by SunFried, just looking around the map, trying to find any kind of like vulnerable place where you could potentially take advantage of. And his Zealots aren't doing a too bad job versus these Hydras, considering the number difference here. But it would have been really very critical damage if he was able to come down here and swoop into this natural expansion with those Zealots before the Hydras.
Oh yeah, there. He's just getting his
speed up.
Muscular augments. Or is that... No, muscular augment is the... Yeah. It's the other one. It's like... I don't know. Something with a G. There's one with an M and one with a G. That's how I remember it.
Oh.
That's all I remember. Because for the longest
I never
time,
know that stuff.
For the longest time, I would just click the button, and then I was like, I gotta change.
I still click the button. That's how bad I am.
It's not. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
What's dumb is I even know the melee in the Carapace ones, but
well, I remember the Evolution Chamber by... Evolution Chamber is just mac. It's macaroni and cheese. Because M is MAC. M is, oh, what is it now? It's melee. And there's A for ranged and C for Carapace.
Well, Valar in a pretty decent position right now. Did a good job defending those zealots, not overcommitting to any kind of attack at the front here. Although some really good storms coming down from SunFried here. Gets a nice juicy pack of Hydralisks for his effort here. But overall, he's got SunFried stuck on 2 bases now, taking his 4th base in the top leftish part of the map here, and has a pretty decent spread of units here. I'd like to see some lurkers out here to make this contain a little bit more bust proof. But the upgrades on the Hydras are a little bit slow from Valar, unfortunately. Wow, some very nice storms here.
Good
wow.
Good micro to get out of the way of the storms, but I think that SunFried will be able to leave his base pretty soon.
Oh yeah. Now that I think about it, though, instead of lurkers, due to the fact that he has a Spire, the Mutalisk team could also do a really great job at dealing with these High Templars as well. Just having a couple Mutalisks sniping the High Templars could have made this a much more difficult proposition as well. Because as we can see, once the Hydralisks are cleared up, there really isn't that much more army left for SunFried, and Valar really did have a very significant army out there, and if the storms had been negated with some Mutalisks, he would have been able to sit up front for quite some time here. But
well, because of the nature of this map, the natural sort of opens up into... Oh my god, my stomach just roared at me. Because of the nature of this map, the natural kind of opens up into a very wide area, so having... That kind of puts the Protoss at a disadvantage because they have to attack into an arc of units as opposed to damage.
Yeah. Nice little clumps.
Yeah.
That's a nice little snipe on the High Templar, though. Valar doing a pretty impressive job. Honestly, I was a little worried that he might, be a weaker player than he very obviously is. Just that first game, I think he was a little shook here, but he's been playing this quite nicely so far. Again, I do lament a little bit his lack of layer tech units, but overall, I mean, his macro has been pretty decent. He's been been able to really at least trade well.
He's done the right. Like, think about this. Like, normally Protoss wants to get their 3rd base at maybe like 9 minutes into the game, and now it's like almost, I don't know, it's like 14 minutes in, so he's done. Like, if you look at the Protoss main, you can see that the minerals are almost depleted, so it's not actually that bad as far as his position in the game relative to what it could be.
Oh yeah. And, honestly, too, I mean, he's been doing a fairly respectable job at he got his 4th up at a pretty reasonable time as well. We do have lurkers coming in now, though, so this is going to make it much more difficult for his his opponent to really be able to get those efficient trades now. Because again, if you look at the army composition right now, dragoons have mostly been eliminated, and at this point, it's just High Templar and Zealots. And we see. Oh yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if there was any observers, but there are a couple observers on the map. But even still,
this attack
was just really good.
This attack be really good here because.
Yeah, nice spread on the lurkers, so they weren't stormed too hard. Although SunFried opting to storm the Hydralis instead has done a really good job at cutting down on the Hydralis numbers initially, at least. But these lurkers are going uncontested.
You can see that the lurker on top is hitting the probe line. So
yeah. A little bit of a positional mistake here, losing that lurker, but this is a fantastic. He's not going to be able to continue to secure this third. I'd almost like the Hydralis to pick off this bottom cannon here and move the lurkers down further towards this ramp, so you can't reinforce that very well at all. Nice storm.
There we go.
Oh yeah. Man, these storms have been so damn juicy out of SunFried, man. Very good High Templar usage. I think the storms have really been what's been keeping them in this game so far. Excellent storms so far.
You can't really play without storming. I mean, you could try. You could go to Corsair Raver, but I don't know. I feel like a lot of I actually think a lot of new school players would be sort of taken aback. They wouldn't really know how to deal with Corsair Reaver, but
oh, it always catches me off guard. I mean, the real answer to it is just tons of Hydros, isn't that?
Well, kind of, yeah.
I mean, well positioned as well.
Yeah, you just wanna get burrow, and you wanna get you wanna make sure you don't like overexpand, and you wanna make sure that you have zerglings burrowed around the map, so you know when your opponent's expanding. Because if you have your Hydralis back at home defending, you don't want your opponent to Reaver to scare you into letting them just take the map. Yeah,
wow. Some really cute micro though. Valar, as his Hydralis were becoming closer and clser to dying, started morphing them into lurkers. Now he's got a really nice lurker count out here. And Valar being really very annoying. I think I'm over making a bit. I
think in this, I hate the phrase "that's a lot of something," because it's just so overused. But especially in situations where it doesn't need to be used, like there's like 10 zealots and someone's like, "That's a lot of zealots." But in this case,
this is like 1.5 control groups of Scourge.
Yeah, this is more.
Oh my gosh, normal. And there's more. There's more to the left of the Protoss natural too. It's like 2.5 control groups of Scourge.
This is a lot more Scourge than normal.
Look at this! Another control group of Scourge. I think that Valar has not taken the time to rebind Scourge to a different button, so he's doing the double tap S a lot, most likely. Because there's no way that he's intentionally making this number of Scourge just to snipe obs. If this was like a ZVT, he could snipe like 3 command centers with these Scourge, dude. Oh my gosh, but I mean, even with this incredibly wasteful production of Scourge, Valar is making a lot of progress just sieging up this base. Like, anytime these Hydros come down here, he's getting cannons.
Personally, if he doesn't have his hive tech yet, so it looks really good on the map, but then I look back and I'm like, oh, it's all Scourge.
It's so true.
I think he should back off this attack, because once you start sending in units piecemeal, little by little, then it's not effective anymore.
Yeah. The only thing is that I mean, like at this point, I think it almost doesn't matter, because our Protoss friend is on basically one mineral mining base right now and is unable to produce a very powerful army, almost regardless of the, of the situation on the map, because he just doesn't have the money right now. Valar's taken 2 additional bases. He's got 3 macro hatcheries at his 3rd as well. So he's got plenty of production. He can basically kill this entire army with like 1 reinforcement wave with good micro. So
he doesn't even need to micro. You could actually just reinforce and kill. Wave. Yeah, he probably could just A move.
This Scourge though. This is like actually quite comical. I'm not gonna lie. I just before you could rebind the Scourge button, this would happen to me all the time, and I would just get like 6 Scourge when I really needed like Ultralisk or something. It's so annoying. But now that the rebind thing is out, I mean, I rebound my Scourge to R, and I've never had that problem again.
Oh, okay. I think I've had it happen like maybe once, like ever. So I don't know.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you still on S Scourge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
I've never. There's one game I remember where I made Scourge instead of Mutalisks, but that's it. But I guess it's a common thing where hitting the S button twice is like, other people have complained about it, so I believe them. I believe the struggle. Just I've never experienced it, so it's kind of
alien to you.
It's a little bit, yeah. I'm like, how are you hitting S? I don't know. Oh, the Scourge! Get caught under the storm.
I think it's a fact. I don't know how fast you play with your macros specifically, but I think, like for me, I go through my macro cycles really incredibly quickly, to the point where it like actually is bad. I've been trying to intentionally slow down my macro cycles because it messes up. Like very often you'll go through a macro cycle and not actually produce at a hatchery, even though you hit the inputs. But I think if you're like when you're going pretty quickly, like I know Urban used to have an issue with it from time to time, and I think it's just because like you're going through your cycles so quickly. Sometimes you double tap that S to make sure you get from the main screen into the larva selection screen. Because I know I do that intentionally when I'm having a hard time getting my hatcheries to produce.
If the game is laggy, got them lurkers. The game is laggy. Sometimes, or latency, I guess. There's high latency. Your inputs can take longer to depress, and so I think that's, sometimes when the game is like that, I'll like spam attack until my units start moving, which doesn't actually help, but
yeah. I do have issues like that pretty commonly on ladder, where I got like I'll go through a production run and like 2 of my hatcheries will just not produce. So I feel like that, like I would definitely have that situation happen a lot more to me, were it not for the fact that I rebound my Scourge button.
Yeah, I don't mind there's some lag that bothers me, but usually lag doesn't bother me. It's latency that bothers me. I should note, a little bit light on the upgrades, but
yeah, I just think the macro difference here is almost, it doesn't matter. It hasn't mattered all that much. I mean, typically you would really want to see carapace upgrades, especially, but just the sheer number of units that are pounding down SunFried's door compared to the amount of army he's actually able to produce has been such an incalculable difference. Like Valor's, like when we look at the end game screen, I'm sure we'll see an absolutely ridiculous number of units killed by SunFried in comparison to the amount produced by him. But
Well,
yeah.
his third base does fall, but now, but I guess there's a silver lining because this base was about 2/3 mined out, and now SunFried has a new base.
Yeah, it's difficult to say that that's
you're getting
an
a new
amazing
daddy.
trade there.
It's not. It's obviously not what you want, but it's not. It's not the end of the game. You can't.
Well, yeah.
It's like you could still say to yourself, okay, maybe I can. Like if you're playing on the B team, you gotta think to yourself, I can come back. Even if you're on the A team,
sure.
I shouldn't say like there's opportunities for it because like it's like only 200 tops. Like it's not like you're playing like
perfect play by any. Yeah. I think though this is still just going to be incredibly difficult for SunFried just due to the fact that in order to get units over there is a hell of a trek. I think it's a really unfortunate position to have chosen to take for the 4th base. I'm not sure why, but our players really are ignoring this mineral only at the bottom. I know it's not ideal, especially since you need gas Protoss to produce your late game army, like with the Dragoons and the Archons and all the Templar that you need. But in a situation where your 3rd has been under siege for so long, and you've had such a difficult time maintaining an army presence in the game, I would have really liked to see the safety 3rd as opposed to the very dangerous.
As far as the path go, by the way, Valar just lost a ton of Mutalisks. As far as the path goes, if the units in SunFried base are rallied to the bottom of that ramp, then the distance actually isn't that far. That is, if he were to hold the 3rd base. If he held the 3rd base, I'd be like, yeah, it's fine. But now there's
now it's down. It's like the great expanse here. Valar
are gonna dab on these probes.
I can't tell. It looks like Valar may have attempted to use Overlords for the Mutal Micro, even though he has got Overlord speed, which I think is a little unfortunate. At that point, I think it's much better to use a Lurker.
Yeah.
But I'm so surprised right now. It's pretty shocking how SunFried has been able to pull himself back in this game a little bit, just by having pretty effective defenses. Looks like Valar may have gotten a bit overconfident in his.
I don't think.
Oh my gosh!
I don't feel like SunFried is. I don't feel like he's in a winnable position. I feel like he's in a. I feel like he's almost in a not lose position. Like he's in a position where he's just like. It's gonna be like a very slow death. His head is being constantly dunked under the water, and he's like in a pool, just trying to not drown. But he has 0 body fat, so he can't float.
Cadenza, do you have that issue? Can you not float? You sink. I feel like Cadenza sinks. She's just all bone. It's a bony mass. Doesn't even have skin. It's all just green screen effects. God, what is the deal with these Scourge? I need to ask Valar what is going on with his Scourge production here, because he has more Scourge. Like if these Scourge were just Lings, he would just annihilate this army, right?
Actually, let's zoom out to get a full appreciation for how many Scourge are out here. So all of this is Scourge, Scourge, Scourge. Though some of the Scourge have moved. He's moving his Scourge with his army. I'm not sure if they're hotkeyed or if he's box selecting, but if the Scourge were hotkeyed, that'd be pretty cool. Let me see. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 hatcheries. 5 is a control group. It has Scourge in it.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're
6,
speeding up.
7. Oops. Yeah. Sorry. Does that actually change the speed? So, group 7 is 11 Scourge and a Lurker. Which is pretty funny.
I don't understand. Like, look, I get the idea of sniping mobs. I really do. But you don't need, like...
If you hotkey Scourge with the Lurker, it's
intentional.
They'll stack.
It makes them less effective. You're gonna lose like 8 Scourge to like 1 obs.
Yeah, they're all gonna crash into the same unit, and it's gonna be a huge waste.
I don't understand. This is all intentional. I don't like. I'm not trying to like make fun of or anything like that, but like, this is very ill-advised. I know. I'm just saying.
I think it was a mistake. Like, I think he. Like,
why would he then hotkey them though?
Because he's got, like, if you got them, why not? Why not use them?
Yeah, but why put 8 on a hotkey? Maybe like 4 or 6 even, since you're flying over goons.
He's got 11 on a hotkey. Like, the hotkey 8 is... Actually, he hasn't re-hotkeyed. Got 1 Lurker on a hotkey. His 1, 2, 3, 4 hatcheries. 5 is 1 Lurker. 6 is 2 Zerglings. 7's nothing. 8 is 4 Scourge and a Lurker and an Overlord. There's nothing for 9 and 0.
Like, real talk though, if you're trying to do the Scourge Lurker play, right? Like, it's definitely an effective strategy and you can definitely do it, but you need to spend more gas on your Lurkers than you do on your Scourge.
Yeah, they're definitely way more important. Also the protection is important too, so probably want to group your Scourge with a group of Overlords. Yeah.
I mean, he's been doing a great job sniping out these observers for sure. Like, I'm not gonna debate that at all. It's just that he's spent a disproportionate number of resources on Scourge.
Yeah, it's definitely unconventional, the amount that has been spent, but interestingly, doesn't seem like either he doesn't know how to close the game out, or SunFried is just a master, but I think it might be the former of those two.
I think that closing out a game as a Zerg player is difficult to learn, like very difficult to learn. Especially versus late game units.
Pretty close to getting it done. Like,
yeah.
SunFried is, the money's gonna dry up.
I mean,
so
a lot of it's just attacking constantly and forcing your economic advantage down your opponent's throat, right? But that feels really scary, especially when you first start playing.
Yeah, that feels very inappropriate.
Yeah.
Okay,
being
so
in someone else's throat is dangerous. They got teeth in there that they could bite you, you know?
Well, yeah. Have you seen that video where the girl's like chomping? It's like, ready for your blowjob.
Oh, yeah! What are you doing? I'm drawing my tongue out. What? Don't do that. Be like sandpaper. What a just ridiculous video. Oh my gosh. She's like, not even one little chomp.
This game better end.
Alright.
Well,
here we go.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Guardians are an okay way to do it in this situation specifically.
Guardians
but
aren't
it's
good.
warm now.
And generally in PV or ZVP, you don't make guardians.
Well, I mean, I think when you're on such a large economic advantage, you're having an issue ramming things down people's throats.
So there's two things. There's two things at play here. First thing he needs is to have comparable upgrades so that when he engages the Protoss, he's getting the most efficiency out of his units as possible. Yeah. The second thing he needs is either he's got to go Ultralisk or he's got to go Defiler. Use one of those two things. In his case, if he feels like maybe Ultralisk is too, or I should say Defiler is too difficult, which is a lot of people say that. You know, there's always the option to go Ultralisk.
I do feel Ultralisk eventually becomes difficult, though. I think Ultralisk is the inferior option.
Against a certain
not at low level.
Yeah. Against certain compositions that Protoss can make, like if it's heavy Archon Zealots, Ultralisks and Zerglings aren't going to be that good because
the Zerglings get splashed down really quick. Ultras don't really do enough DPS, and Zealots and Archons do a ton of DPS to Ultralisks.
Yeah, but before Protoss makes that transition, because that costs a lot of gas to make a lot of Archons, and usually better Protoss players will also have a lot of Reavers, or well, not a lot, but some Reavers. They'll have High Templar as well. So that costs a lot of gas, and before that, they're going to have a lot of Dragoons. And when they have a lot of Dragoons, that's when you can sort of bully their army with Ultralisks.
The Ultralisks just did such a great job tanking for the Cracklings, and then the Cracklings just melt the army.
In this case, I would say probably a combination of Defiler and Ultralisk could be really good here. Like, you could just go up to one of the bases, Dark Swarm it, and then you send in your Ultralisks, they take the storms, then you just send in all your Zerglings, then you kill the Nexus, and then...
So, I'd like to point out that this game is getting to kind of a ridiculous spot right now. Valar's taken basically the whole map, but almost the entire map has been mined out. He's basically on like one healthy base, and then like the combination of these two last bases makes like maybe a half a base. He's like on 1.5 mining bases right now. He's like eating up all the resources. He doesn't have an exactly a ridiculous bank here. And Protoss units are much more cost effective.
It's so odd that he has so much of the map and so little money.
Look at all these lurkers don't even burrow, just get totally annihilated by this army totally for free.
Oh my god, what did I just miss? Great camera work there. A+.
Yeah, but so it was like 9 lurkers or 8 lurkers that just died totally for free. And then 3 guardians also went down. At least he didn't lose any
scourges. That's the important thing.
Yeah, I gotta keep that scourge number up.
You gotta keep that scourge count nice and high.
Well, as we speak, though, there goes another scourge. But yeah, like, so Valar's macro game has been relatively reasonable, right? In comparison to the level of his opponent. Obviously the Scourge thing has been a little bit weird, but overall he's been, keeping up a respectively powerful ground army to be able to contain his opponent. But unfortunately is just not able to pull off the necessary, I guess, like, micro to attack into these High Templar compositions here. And has just been getting his units murdered every time he tries to close this game out. And this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, it can be a bit difficult when you're trying to use... Well, I guess you're right. Ultralisk's compositions are not difficult to use, but like, when you're trying to use a lot of the Zerg's tools that they have to close games out, it can be very difficult for new players. I find Defilers, even still, for me, is can be a very difficult unit to use, especially in aggressive scenarios. Like it's pretty easy to throw down a swarm at your choke and defend or whatever, but when you're doing defiler pushes and stuff like that, that can be pretty difficult for new players, and it's proving to be extremely difficult for Valar here. He's basically consumed like at least double the resources of his opponent here, and just not been able to close this, even get anywhere really close to closing the game out.
Oh, I would be happy for my teammate if he won, but I would, at the same time, I would be angry.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Like I feel in some sense that Valar quote unquote deserves the W here, right? Because he did a great job on the macro side of things.
Well,
but that's
yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
You
that's
quote
unquote,
it.
right?
Yeah.
But there really isn't any quote unquote, right? It's like that's like saying Terra didn't deserve to beat Larva because he used a kind of an all-in kind of cheeky strat, but he won because he won because you win by winning. You don't win by deserving to win, right? So I think there's this kind of like mindset that a lot of us RTS players get into where it's like, oh man.
Oh yeah.
Really, like,
as you know, RTS is an intellectual game.
Yeah. Like like the.
If you're gonna play this game, you gotta be smarter than the average person. If you're gonna lose, it's because they did something stupid.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So like, this is pretty rough here. Valar taking the final healthy base here, other than this expansion that he killed, and that's not even really that healthy of a base. This is like his last bit of minerals that he's going to be able to suck up before he is done here. And Valar's see.
I want to say that SunFried is like he's almost dried up. So, I think for Valar, if he just defends and mines up the map, he'll be fine.
I don't know though. The thing is that Valar's really not been able to show too many the ability to really take effective fights. I guess more on the attack than on the defense. Yeah. I mean, obviously his lings are just getting absolutely annihilated, right? Like they're doing -1 damage to the. Oh no, they're not. Okay, so he's got 2-1 now.
-1 damage. Do they give like their claws throw health towards their opponent?
But no. So he's got 2-1 now. So obviously the carapace upgrades are not good, right? You're on 1 carapace. That's a huge problem when you're fighting against 3 attack zealots. But having the 2 attack here is at least going to be able to negate the armor advantage that he was, or the armor disadvantage that he was at the time. Oh my gosh! And now the mineral only going down for Valar. He can't even afford to lose this hatchery at this point. He's got the 1 mining base basically going on now. I mean, SunFried is running away with this game, man. This is very unfortunate. I would have to say. I do, I'm rooting for Team Supply Block here, but at the same time, I definitely feel like Valar was in a position where he should have won the game, but unfortunately wasn't able to close it out and get the W.
Gosh, this game was so bizarre.
It started out seemingly pretty normal too, and so I have no idea how he got to this point. But now Valar is feeling pressure to like counterattack since he's like really
his army is like not even that. Well, now it's okay-ish, but it's like
yeah, it was mostly zealots.
Look at his fly. It's he's still like under 150.
Yeah.
And some like that.
Well, here's the thing though. I can understand why SunFried is in this position. He had a very difficult time establishing bases. He got his 3rd busted. I mean, he's been in this weird position defending like these 2 separate spots here. But so I kind of understand where he's at because he has been doing, he has been having a difficult time getting an economic footing in this game. So I mean, Valar basically ate up the whole map.
Now that he has the bottom left, Valar says good game.
Yeah.
So now Well, I was gonna say now that he
45
has the
minutes,
bottom
though.
left,
What
but
a hell of a game.
45 minutes! Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, that's how long it can take to eat up an entire map, man. But look at that. Look at the resource difference here.
Oh, I
Valor
didn't
is a
even
good
look at it.
40%. Or SunFried is a good, like, 60% of the amount of resources mined that Valor has, but it was just so cost effective the entire game. His storms were great, like absolutely fantastic storms in the early game, eating up tons and tons of units, saving himself over and over again. And then in the late game, I think Valor just was unable to close it out because he's not experienced enough